What's going on, everybody? Jason Purcell here, doing my first episode of this new series. I love watching these on YouTube, and I figured I'd take a stab at it myself. This list is based on purely my opinions of the movie. I haven't gone off of anyone else, anything that anyone else had to say. Simply watched key parts of the film, sometimes watched the whole film, and came up with it myself. So here are my top 5 amazing pieces of cinematography in film. Also, I want to address why I'm wearing long sleeves and it's like 87 degrees. I have poison ivy that goes from my wrist all the way across here. Y'all don't want to see any of that. The t-shirt's what we gotta do. Okay? I want to gross you out. Let's open the laptop, shall we? Number 1. Put in your password. Number 1, Saving Private Ryan. Saving Private Ryan is one of my favorite pieces of film. The cinematography in Saving Private Ryan is some of my favorite cinematography in film. Obviously, directed by Steven Spielberg with the amazing DP, I would say his name right, Johannes Kaminski. Correct me if I'm wrong. That name's weird. It could be Janice, could be Johannes. So I just I go with the one that sounds best in my head. They were a huge team. Same DP for Spielberg since '93. Incredible cinematography. The way that Kaminski uses the grit, he uses the dirt, he puts blood on the camera. He really puts you in there. I mean, a Navy SEAL was once asked what movie gets it the best, and at first he said no movie can depict war, but then he redacted and said the first 10 minutes of Saving Private Ryan. So that kind of gives you an idea of the level to which Kaminski performs. Phenomenal acting in the movie as well. The cinematography, however, sort of takes the cake. You can have the best actors in the world, but if the film does not translate visually, then they can't carry it. Number 2. The Exorcist. The Exorcist is on my top 5 for amazing cinematography for a couple different reasons. Owen Roseman was the director of photography, along with William Friedkin, the director. These guys worked with each other a little bit too. Roseman is a graduate of Gettysburg University right here in Pennsylvania, which is pretty cool, for math and physics. Neat little tidbit there. I like The Exorcist because of Roseman's use of really gritty docu-style shots in the movie. He also, for a film that's about the devil, there's plenty of light and shadow, and there's plenty of contrast, but when the shit is hitting the fan, he's not afraid to show it. When Regan beats the hell out of her mother, that's in broad daylight. You see all of that. When Karis is falling down the stairs at the end of the movie, you hear all of that. You see all of that. You see him face down in a pool of his own blood, bringing his hand up, putting it on the young priest's shoulder, and receiving his last rites. You see all of that. When Regan's throwing books across the room, he doesn't do this like dramatic wind up and like, devil powers, nah! No, it's literally books being thrown against the wall. It's very manic, and the way he sort of portrayed that mania in that movie, being possessed, it really makes that, along with the sound design, but the cinematography in that movie it just makes everything so much more uneasy, so much more. There are things lurking in shadow. He does use light and shadow quite a bit. There are things lurking in shadow. You notice when you go into Regan's room, when the possession is in full swing, how her room is, they wanted to portray how cold it was in there, so they used cooler filters on the lights to visually drop the temperature down. I just, that movie in particular, it scared the hell out of me when I was a kid. It impressed the hell out of me when I was an adult, and it's still one of my favorite visual films. Yeah, we can't forget the iconic framing of the outside of that house with the light coming down on the Exorcist of the priest. That's literally, that's the movie poster right there, you know? Yes, number 3, we move on to my favorite movie. It would be The Professional, or the European cut is Leon the Professional, starring Jean Reno and Natalie Portman, directed by our good buddy Luc Besson, with the DP. Oh, let me get this one right. I have it over here in my notes. Let me get this one right. Luc Besson. Terry Arbogast. Sorry, Terry Arbogast is the director of photography. Terry was with Luc Besson through a lot of films. The Fifth Element, another one of my favorite films, and Kiss of the Dragon, one of my favorite Jet Li films. He was the DP on those 2 films. What's great that Terry does for this movie is The Professional is 3 films. It's all 3 films in one. It is a coming-of-age story for Matilda. It is it's a thriller, a suspense action thriller with the hitman element in there. And it's also it's a romantic film. It's a love story. The European version delves slightly deeper into Leon and Matilda's relationship. It never gets weird, but it gets uncomfortable. Far more uncomfortable at the time, for American audiences. I'll link the Euro cut down below. Terry's use of establishing shots in the title sequence of that film, it really sets the mood of the film. How quickly emotions change in the movie. There's a lot of really dark moments. There's also a lot of funny moments, a lot of happy moments when they're playing dress up, and they're playing Guess Who, and when Leon chases Matilda around the apartment with the squirt bottle and breaks the door on the closet. There's all those moments, and then in the beginning of the film, the film begins with Matilda's entire family being killed, and those sequences, especially the way those are shot. The reason it's one of my favorite movies is because of that, and I'm a firm believer that when Gary Oldman goes full nut bar with a shotgun, it is one of the most visceral, terrifying moments in a movie. You see him change when he takes whatever drug he's taking. Terry does that wonderful over-the-head shot of him taking the pill and cracking it and dumping whatever contents down his throat. He does these great things with straight-on angles that are a little off-kilter. When Leon basically almost sacrifices himself for the first time, when they shoot the rocket into the apartment, when he screams, they do a really tight close-up on his face, just to see the veins and everything straining in his head when he's screaming. And then obviously the closing scene to that, when you see it through it almost chokes you up, because you can see Leon. He sees freedom right in front of him. He sees freedom. He's going to go out that door, hang a right, be right down there at Tony's, and Matilda and him are going to live the life that they wanted to live. And then sadly Stansfield comes up and cowardly shoots him in the back, but Leon gets him. Let's just put it that way. I won't exactly ruin how for you if you've never seen the film. All the films and stuff that I go through in this video, I'll link down below. Before we keep going here, make sure you're subscribed, make sure you like, leave a comment down below, and give me some suggestions of your favorite films. A classic one, crazy classic, Barry Lyndon, directed by none other than the powerhouse Stanley Kubrick, and his basically all-time director of photography, John Alcott. John Alcott was with him through Clockwork Orange, through 2001, The Shining, all of that. He had a lot to do with the vision of those films. Now, Kubrick is famous for having control of the camera. Because, you know, if you're a Kubrick nut, you know he owned just about all the means of production for his films. So he would just rent it to the production, make it Jack Nicholson break down a door 20, 30 times. You can only do that if you have control over the budget. But John Alcott had control over the camera a lot, and it shows. Barry Lyndon is shot to look like those old Victorian paintings, very flat, very one-dimensional, shallow depth of field, all forward paintings. And the way they did that is Kubrick knew a crazy camera tech, and Kubrick bought 2 lenses that were built by NASA with a 0.2 f-stop. And anybody that knows camera gear is like, blah! They got those lenses because there's full scenes in Barry Lyndon that are shot by candlelight. And that was the only lens wide enough to capture that limited light source. The crazy thing about that is it had a very shallow depth of field, so actors had to learn to move laterally to camera instead of moving in and out, because if they changed the plane, they would go out of focus. So that's how he got those crazy shots of them playing or gambling and stuff like that by candlelight, because it was literally by candlelight. That's how the film was shot. Stanley Kubrick, you know, what can we say? Again, these aren't in any order. I think I wrote them down in order and I just went backwards. The Shining. Yes, we're gonna end this first video with 2 from Mr. Stanley Kubrick. Shoot me. The Shining in horror is so formative, yet completely unreplicated. Again, shot by John Alcott. He was director of photography and still photography. That particular movie, the entire way the film's shot is to make you uncomfortable. You'll notice when camera goes from one shot to the next, there's continuity errors, intentional continuity errors. There are shots that go down hallways that end up in different places, and when the shot turns around and goes back, it's facing a different facade entirely. It's almost as if the hotel is a Rubik's Cube and it's being constantly switched, and it's in constant motion to keep you just uneasy the whole time. John Alcott used a lot of and Stanley Kubrick. I have to speak to them both because even though John Alcott was a director of photography and in charge of cinematography, you watch any of the documentaries and Stanley Kubrick is behind the camera just as much as John Alcott is. He used these low angle shots and like off-kilter wide shots too, with the whole frame filled up and there's just Jack Nicholson down here throwing the ball against the wall or sitting there typing. He wanted everything to kind of loom. He wanted the hotel to feel alive. And that's sort of how you can do that with a perspective shot like that, is to make the actors or actresses appear very fragile, very small. And that also adds to the peril that they're in as well. You know, I love Chucky. I love the Child's Play series. I dig what Mark Hamill did with the character. But, come on. Unless you're on your back, Chucky's not scary. If you see the Chuckster running at you, you're just gonna, you're gonna go field goal mode and try to score 3 points with the little bastard. How you create peril with a shot like that is to make the environment feel threatening, feel large, and feel imposing on the tiny character. That's one thing that he did. One of my favorite things he did is the light camera movement when Jack is breaking the bathroom door down. You see the camera wind up with Jack and slam forward, wind up and slam forward. To me, that's kind of a groundbreaking camera move there. to create the gravity of the swing and the power of the swing, you could just as well sit the camera there and just have, great sound and capture that great sound, and then great Foley afterward, and capture that smack of that axe going into the wood, and Shelley Duvall screaming as well. But you add this gravity to that when you basically turn the audience into the axe head. You turn the audience into the axe head when you move the camera like that, and you can see it, bang, like bang, bang, swinging with Jack every time going further into the door, and then obviously the iconic upward shots of Jack in the refrigerator, the go check it out stuff that he does, filming up at Jack. That was Kubrick's idea to sort of, again, make you feel uncomfortable. You're not used to seeing a person like that. Now, when you film something about Jack Nicholson's face, when you film it from below, he doesn't look human. He looks like he just doesn't look human. Which, he wasn't really human in that movie. He was something else. That does it for this installment. That was a lot of fun. I don't think I'm going to do 5. I think I'll do more next time. Just wanted to give you a good video, decently short videos to digest the first time we did this, and then we'll dive in again next time. Make sure you're smashing that subscribe button. Make sure you're hitting that like button if you like it. No pressure. And drop in a comment down below to give me suggestions on stuff you'd like to see, or if you just want to chat about the films. I love doing that too. It's really cool to hear from you guys. The fact that you guys just watched this, the handful of you, means the world to me. I love doing this. Keep your eyes out again for the link channels on my page, the Lad MMA, Roundtable Props, Jason and Tiff, and that Tiff girl. So keep your eye out for content from those. Go to my main page, go to the right side, yes, your right side on the screen, my left side here, and make sure you're smashing those subscribe buttons as well with the content. You got podcasts, you got makeup tutorials, you got product reviews, you got MMA companion channels, you've got all kinds of cool stuff right there. Plus here, the Jason Purcell Films channel for short films, for product reviews, for cool fun videos like this. That's all for me. Have a great one. Enjoy film, enjoy movies, and I will see you next time. Bye! Check it out!